Good day, dear friends. Welcome to the Aunt Betty Stories. I am going to tell you a story. PLZ, give this story a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means so much to me. When I think about that evening now, my hands still tremble a little. Not from fear, but from the memory of what could have been and what actually was. It's strange how life sometimes gives us warnings in the gentlest ways. How a single sound like a knock on your door can stand between life and death, between losing everything and finding what truly matters. That night, I almost didn't open the door. It was raining outside, soft, steady rain falling over the red soil of our village, the kind that makes the earth smell alive. I remember I had just finished washing the last of the dishes, and my house was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that presses on your heart, reminding you how alone you really are. I was sitting by the window, my shawl around my shoulders, watching the drops trace their paths down the glass. My children had all grown and moved to the city. My husband, well, he had been gone for 5 years now. Some days I still spoke to his chair when I passed it, as if the wood could carry my words to him wherever he was. That evening, I made myself a small cup of tea, ginger and honey the way he used to like it. I didn't even want the tea. I just wanted the smell. Sometimes when you live alone, you do small things to feel like someone else is still there with you. Then came the knock. 3 soft knocks, not urgent, not loud, just enough to stir the air. First I ignored it. You see, in our village, people rarely visit after sunset. And when they do, it's either bad news or someone looking for help. Both require a kind of strength I didn't think I had that night. So I just sat there staring at the door, telling myself it could wait. The rain grew heavier. Another knock came, this time slower, gentler, almost like a child's hand. I remember thinking no one should be out in this rain. But still I didn't move. It's funny how fear and sadness can make you hesitate, how they whisper lies in your ear. Stay seated. Stay safe. Don't open. If I had kept listening to that voice, I wouldn't be here to tell you this story. I don't know what made me stand up that moment. Maybe it was habit, maybe it was something deeper. Some call it instinct. Some call it faith. I just call it a quiet pull in my chest. When I opened the door, I expected to see no one. Maybe a stray cat seeking shelter. Maybe just the wind playing tricks. But instead I saw her. A girl, barely 20, soaked to her skin. Her face pale, her hands trembling. She looked lost, frightened, and yet familiar. Her eyes searched mine like she was trying to remember something. She whispered, "Please, Ma, can I stay for a while?" And that was how it began. The night that changed everything. The night I almost ignored the knock that saved my life. That night became the first page of a story I never expected to live. A story of pain, forgiveness, and unexpected healing. If I close my eyes now, I can still feel the warmth of that girl's hand in mine. The way her voice trembled when she told me her name. And how, by helping her, I unknowingly saved myself. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how that knock became a blessing, you need to know what kind of woman I was before it, what kind of life I lived, and how loneliness had slowly wrapped itself around me like a heavy blanket. Because sometimes the door we're most afraid to open is the very one that leads us back to life. People say that life after 40 feels quieter. They say it's a season of peace, when the children are grown, the home is steady, and you can finally rest. But for me, peace didn't come. Only silence did. And silence can be the heaviest sound of all. My name is Naomi, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the kind of woman who holds things together. In my family, everyone looked to me for steadiness. I was the one who remembered birthdays, the one who cooked on Sunday mornings, the one who knew which herb to boil when someone had a fever. Even when I was tired, I smiled. Even when I wanted to cry, I said, "It's fine, I'm strong." That's what we women are taught, isn't it? To keep smiling, even when our hearts are breaking quietly inside. I grew up in a small village near the river. It's the kind of place where you wake up to the sound of roosters and sleep to the rhythm of crickets. We had one dusty road that led to the market, and a row of jacaranda trees that turned the air purple every August. Life was simple, but it had a certain beauty. Laughter from the neighbor's yard, children chasing goats. The smell of roasted maize in the evenings. That village raised me, shaped me, and held me. When I married my husband, Daniel, I thought my story had reached its happiest chapter. He was a quiet man, gentle with his words but firm in his love. We built our home together from the ground up. A small house of brick and tin, surrounded by mango trees. We didn't have much, but we had enough. And for many years that was all I ever wanted. We had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. The boys grew up chasing dreams in the city, and my daughter Leah married young and moved far away. In the beginning they used to visit often. Every Christmas the house would fill with laughter, noise and the smell of food cooking on every stove. But slowly the visits became fewer. Phone calls replaced hugs. Voicemails replaced conversations. And the house, once filled with life, began to echo again. When Daniel passed away, something inside me went quiet too. I remember the day so clearly. It was a Wednesday market day. He had gone out early to fix a neighbor's roof, and by noon the sun was high. I was preparing his favorite stew when I heard the village messenger calling my name. His voice was trembling. That's how I knew. Before he even spoke, I knew. Losing Daniel was like losing my reflection. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost the person who made my world make sense. He was the one who could calm me when life became too heavy. The one who made small jokes when he saw I was overthinking again. When he left, the walls of our home seemed to grow wider. Every sound became sharper. The nights grew longer. But life in the village doesn't stop for grief. People still plant, still harvest, still sell tomatoes by the roadside. So I learned to move too. I kept my head high, went to church every Sunday, and told everyone I was fine. Because that's what people expect, that after a few months you'll go back to being yourself again. But I wasn't myself. I was just a shadow wearing my own smile. After Daniel's death, my children insisted I move to the city to live with one of them. But I couldn't. That house was more than bricks and walls. It was the memory of us, of every laugh, every prayer, every shared meal. Leaving it felt like erasing him. So I stayed. And slowly the seasons turned. Years passed. Leah had 2 children. I saw them once when they were small. The boys built their own lives. They sent money sometimes and I was grateful. But what I missed wasn't money. It was the sound of them. The way Daniel used to call my name from the doorway. The sound of plates clinking at dinner. The soft hum of life. That's what I mean when I say silence is heavy. It's not just quiet. It's the absence of what once was. I filled my days with small things. Tending the garden, sweeping the yard, visiting neighbors. Sometimes I helped at the church kitchen, cooking for the children who came after school. Those were the moments I felt most alive. Because even though they weren't my children, their laughter reminded me of what joy used to sound like. But when evening came, the silence would return. And with it, the memories. I would sit on the veranda, watching the sun sink behind the hills, and think about the years that had passed like smoke. How fast it all goes. You raise children, you share meals, you build dreams, and before you know it, you're sitting alone in a chair that once had 2. Still, I tried to stay thankful. Every morning I woke up, I whispered, "Thank you, Lord." Every night before sleeping I did the same. Because even in loneliness there is grace. Even in sadness there can be peace. Until that night, the night of the knock, I had been feeling strange that week. Uneasy. There was no reason for it, just a quiet heaviness I couldn't shake off. Sometimes I would hear noises outside, and my heart would start beating faster. Other times I'd feel like someone was watching me, even when no one was there. Maybe it was just my mind playing tricks. Maybe it was grief, still lingering like smoke after a fire. That evening, I had locked the doors early. I remember the smell of rain drifting in through the cracks, the faint sound of thunder rolling over the hills. I had just finished praying when the first knock came, and you already know what happened after. The girl who stood outside that night, her name was Amina. But at that moment, I didn't know who she was or what brought her to my door. All I saw was fear in her eyes and rain dripping from her hair. I could have turned her away, but something in me said no. I opened the door wider and told her to come in. She stepped in quietly, her bare feet leaving wet marks on the floor. I fetched her a towel and a dry shawl. She didn't say much. Just "thank you," in a voice so soft I almost didn't hear it. We sat in silence for a while, listening to the rain. I didn't ask her questions that night. I just gave her food and let her rest. Something about her felt fragile, like if I asked too much she might break. Before she slept, I remember her whispering, "Ma, I didn't know where else to go." And I remember saying, "It's okay, my child. You can stay here tonight." At that moment, I thought I was simply being kind. What I didn't know was that by opening my door to her, I was also opening it to a truth I had been running from for years. That's how it began, not with drama, not with thunder, but with a quiet act of compassion. A knock in the rain, a stranger at my door, and a heart ready to be healed, even if it didn't know it yet. The next morning, I woke to the sound of birds outside my window. The rain had passed, leaving behind the smell of wet earth and the low hum of insects waking with the sun. For a moment, I forgot there was someone else in the house. It had been so long since I'd heard another person breathing under my roof that it felt almost like a dream. When I stepped into the sitting room, I saw Amina curled up on the couch, fast asleep. The shawl I had given her was still around her shoulders. She looked so young then, her face peaceful, her lips slightly parted. For a second, I just stood there watching her, remembering how my own daughter, Leah, used to sleep the same way when she was small, one hand near her face like she was holding onto a dream. I went quietly to the kitchen and started a pot of tea. The fire crackled, the smell of ginger filled the air, and I thought about how strange it was that a stranger could bring such a feeling of presence into my home. It wasn't joy exactly, just warmth, a small reminder that life still existed beyond my own walls. When she woke up, she looked confused for a moment, like she had forgotten where she was. Then her eyes met mine and she smiled, just a faint, hesitant smile. "Good morning," I said softly. She nodded, still quiet, still shy. We ate breakfast together, simple maize porridge and tea. She thanked me again and again, but every time I asked where she was going next, she changed the subject. There was something about her, not just fear but sadness. A kind of weight I recognized because I had carried it myself, so I didn't ask too many questions. I just told her she could stay a little longer if she needed to. Her eyes filled with tears when I said that, and that was the moment I knew. Whatever had brought her to my door, it wasn't small. Days passed and Amina became part of my routine. In the mornings, she swept the yard. In the afternoons, she helped me tend the small garden behind the house. She didn't speak much about herself, but she was gentle, respectful, and carried a sadness too deep for her age. Sometimes, when she thought I wasn't looking, she would stare off into the distance, like she was waiting for someone who would never come. I didn't press her. I believe that when people are ready to tell their story, they will. And no amount of asking can open a heart that's still protecting itself. So I simply let her be. But something changed in me too. Having Amina there made the house come alive again. The air felt lighter. I found myself cooking more, talking more. We would sit on the veranda at sunset, watching the sky turn from gold to red to blue, and she would smile faintly at the children playing down the road. One evening, I asked her if she had family nearby. She hesitated, then said softly, "No, Ma, not anymore." And I didn't ask again. Her voice had a finality in it that told me the rest of the story would only bring pain. Still, I could feel her growing more comfortable with each passing day. She started humming when she worked, sometimes singing softly under her breath. Her voice was sweet, fragile, the kind of sound that reminded me of the way Daniel used to whistle when fixing something outside. It stirred memories I thought had gone quiet forever. One afternoon, as I was folding laundry, I found her standing by the window, tears running down her face. I asked what was wrong and she quickly wiped them away. "Nothing, Ma," she whispered. "Just memories." And that was the first time I truly saw her pain. It wasn't the pain of loss alone. It was the pain of someone who had seen too much too soon. Few weeks went by. By then, everyone in the village knew there was a young woman staying with me. Some of them asked about her. Others whispered behind my back, wondering why I had taken in a stranger. In small communities like ours, rumors grow faster than crops. But I ignored them. My heart told me this girl needed safety, and that was enough for me. Still, I started noticing little things. The way Amina would flinch whenever someone mentioned the city, how she avoided groups of men, how she always sat near the back of the church. And sometimes at night, I would hear her crying quietly in her room. I wanted to comfort her, but I didn't know how. I had learned that grief is a private thing. You can't take it away from someone. You can only sit beside them while they carry it. One night, I finally gathered the courage to ask. We were sitting outside under the moonlight. The crickets were singing, and the world felt soft and safe. I said, "Amina, my child, you don't have to tell me everything. But if something is hurting you, you don't have to hold it alone." She looked at me then, her eyes full of tears. And slowly her story began to unfold. Amina had grown up in a nearby town. Her mother died when she was small, and her father had remarried. For a while life had been good. But after she turned 16, everything began to change. Her stepmother was cruel, and her father, though kind, was weak against her words. By the time she was 18, Amina had run away to the city in search of work. She found a job as a house help, but the man who employed her was not who he seemed. He was kind at first, too kind. Then slowly the kindness turned into something darker. He began locking her inside when his wife was away. He told her things she didn't understand, and one night she managed to escape. She had been running ever since. As she told me this, her voice broke, and I could see how deep the wounds went. Not just on her body but on her soul. I didn't speak for a long time. There are no words that can mend that kind of hurt. All I could do was reach out and hold her hand. She cried quietly, and I sat beside her until the moon disappeared behind the clouds. From that night onward, I promised myself I would protect her. I didn't have much, but what I had, food, a roof, warmth, she could share. In her I saw the daughter I had missed, the one who rarely called anymore, the one whose voice had grown distant. And maybe in me she found the mother she had lost too soon. But healing is not a straight road. Even as we grew close, I began to feel small ripples of unease. Strange things started happening around the house. Some nights I would find the gate unlocked, though I was sure I had fastened it. Once I noticed footprints near the back door. Fresh ones after a night of rain. Amina grew quieter again. Sometimes she would wake up startled, her eyes wide, her breath heavy. When I asked what was wrong, she said it was just a bad dream. But I could tell it wasn't just a dream. Then one evening, while returning from the market, I saw a man standing by the road near my house. He was tall, wearing a cap that shaded his face. He didn't speak, just watched as I walked past. When I turned to look again, he was gone. That night, Amina was restless. She kept peeking out the window as if waiting for something, or someone. I asked if she was expecting anyone, but she only shook her head and forced a smile. A chill ran through me that evening. The same kind I had felt before opening the door to her weeks ago. The air seemed heavier, as if the quiet around us was holding its breath. I tried not to think much of it, but deep inside I knew something was coming. Something that would test not only my courage, but everything I thought I understood about faith, kindness, and destiny. Still, I didn't regret opening that door. Even if fear had started creeping in, I knew that whatever this story was turning into, it had begun with compassion, and I had to see it through. Because sometimes the people who come into our lives are not accidents. Sometimes they are answers to prayers we didn't even know we prayed. And sometimes they bring with them storms we must walk through to find the light again. The rains came again a few weeks later. Heavy, endless rain that turned the village paths into streams and filled the night with the sound of water against tin roofs. It was the kind of rain that keeps everyone indoors, the kind that makes you listen to your own thoughts too long. By then, Amina had been living with me for almost 2 months. We had settled into a rhythm like mother and daughter. We prayed together every morning, cooked side by side, and even laughed sometimes. The laughter came slow at first, as if we were both remembering how to do it again. But it came, and that was something. Still, something about her seemed unsettled. Every now and then, I'd catch her glancing toward the gate, her body tensing whenever footsteps passed outside. If someone knocked at the door unexpectedly, she'd freeze, her eyes wide with a fear that didn't belong to this house. One evening, while we were preparing supper, I asked her gently if she still had nightmares. She nodded, stirring the pot absent-mindedly. Then she whispered, "He's looking for me, Ma. I know he is." The spoon fell from my hand. I didn't ask who because I already knew. The man she had escaped. The one who had broken her peace and turned her young life into something dark. I felt anger then, not the kind that burns, but the kind that sits deep inside, heavy and cold. How could someone hurt a child like that? How could the world allow it? But I didn't show my fear. Instead, I reached for her hand and said, "You're safe here, Amina. No one will hurt you in this home." She nodded, but her eyes said she wasn't sure safety existed anywhere anymore. That night, after she went to bed, I sat alone by the fire watching the flames rise and fall. Daniel's chair stood empty beside me. I looked at it and whispered, "If you were here, you'd know what to do." But he wasn't. And for the first time since he passed, I truly felt how alone I was. Still I prayed. I prayed for strength, for wisdom, and for the courage to protect this girl, who had come into my life like a storm. When I went to sleep, I dreamed of knocking again. That same sound, 3 soft knocks echoing through the rain. When I opened the door in my dream, there was no one there, only darkness and a voice whispering my name. I woke up sweating, my heart pounding. The next morning I brushed it off. Dreams are just dreams, I told myself. But the air felt different. Even the birds outside seemed quieter. That afternoon, I walked to the market to buy vegetables. The sky was still cloudy, the air heavy with the promise of more rain. As I reached the first stall, I noticed a man standing across the road. He wasn't looking at the fruits or the fabric sellers. He was looking straight at me. He wore the same cap I had seen weeks before. For a moment our eyes met, and then he looked away, pretending to check something in his pocket. I felt a chill crawl up my neck. When I turned back to greet Mama Esther, the seller, she leaned close and whispered, "Naomi, who is that man? He's been asking around. Said he's looking for a young girl named Amina." My hands froze. The tomatoes I was holding fell back into the basket. I felt the world go silent for a moment. The sound of voices, the smell of the market, the hum of life, all gone. I told Mama Esther I didn't know anything. Then I paid quickly and walked home, my heart beating so fast it hurt. When I reached the house, Amina was sweeping the veranda. She looked up, saw my face, and dropped the broom. "Ma, what happened?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, this girl who had come into my life like a wounded bird. And I realized that danger had followed her here. "There's a man in the market," I finally said. "He's looking for you." She went pale, gripping the edge of the wall to steady herself. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered, "It's him." That was all she said, "It's him." But that was enough. I took her hand and pulled her inside. We locked the door. The same door I had once opened to her. That night was long. The rain came again, heavier this time. Thunder rolled over the hills like angry drums. We sat together in silence, the only light coming from a small lantern on the table. Every time the wind pushed against the door, Amina flinched. And every time she did, I reached for her hand, as if to remind her she wasn't alone. At some point she began to cry quietly. She said, "I shouldn't have come here, Ma. I've brought trouble to you." But I shook my head. "Don't ever say that," I whispered. "God doesn't send people to us by mistake." Around midnight there was a sound. A soft thud, like someone stepping on wet soil outside. Then another. And then 3 slow knocks. My heart stopped. 3. The same rhythm as before. The same sound that had once saved me, but now made my hands shake. Amina froze, her eyes wide with terror. "Ma," she whispered. "It's him." For a long moment we just sat there, listening to the rain and those knocks that seemed to echo forever. Part of me wanted to stay still, pretend no one was home. But another part, the same part that had opened the door that first night, refused to let fear win. So I stood up. My legs were shaking, but I stood. Amina tried to stop me, but I gently pulled my hand away and said, "If we hide now, we'll always be hiding." I walked to the door slowly. The lantern flame flickered with each step. Outside, the rain fell harder. I placed my hand on the latch, took a deep breath, and opened it. There he was. Tall, soaked, the cap still on his head. His eyes sharp, cold, searching. For a moment he didn't speak. He just looked past me, as if expecting to see Amina behind my shoulder. Then in a low voice he said, "Old woman, there's someone here who belongs to me." Something inside me broke when he said that. No one belongs to anyone. Not like that. Not in this world. I stood firm. "There's no one here for you," I said softly. "Please go." His jaw tightened. "I know she's here. You think you can hide her?" The wind blew harder, pushing rain into the doorway. I could feel my heart pounding, but I didn't move. "Leave my home," I said again, this time stronger, even though my voice was trembling. He took a step forward. And that's when I saw the glint of something in his hand. A metal piece, small but sharp. A knife. I stepped back, but before I could say anything, a voice behind me shouted, "Ma!" It was Amina. She had come out of hiding. The man's eyes lit up, that cruel, triumphant kind of light. He lunged forward. Everything after that felt like it happened in slow motion. I heard thunder crash outside, the lantern fall and roll across the floor, and Amina scream. Then I felt it, a sharp pain across my arm as I tried to shield her. The knife grazed me, but before he could strike again, I grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy pot from the table, and swung it as hard as I could. It hit his shoulder, and he stumbled backward, slipping on the wet floor. Amina ran to the door, screaming for help. Within minutes, neighbors began to arrive. Men with torches, women shouting. The man tried to run, but he didn't get far. He was caught near the river by two young men from the village. When they brought him back, the rain still falling hard, I looked at him, this man who had brought so much fear into this young girl's life, and for the first time, I felt not anger, but sorrow, because I realized people like him are born from a world that forgets to teach love. The police came later that night. They took him away, and Amina gave her statement through trembling lips. When it was all over, we sat together again in the quiet of the house. My arm was bandaged. Her eyes were swollen from crying. But in that silence, there was something new. Something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from facing darkness and still choosing light. That night I thought about the first knock, the one that brought Amina to my door. And I realized something. That knock didn't just save her life. Saved mine too. Because before Amina came, I had been alive but not living, breathing but not feeling, existing but not hoping. She brought back the sound of laughter, the meaning of prayer, the reason to keep going. And in protecting her, I had rediscovered the woman I used to be, brave, loving, full of faith. Sometimes God answers prayers in ways we don't expect. I had prayed for peace. He sent me a storm, and through that storm, He gave me a reason to live again. The days after that night felt like waking up after a long storm. The air was still heavy, the ground still wet, but the world seemed quieter, as if it was finally resting too. People from the village came to visit. They brought food, prayers, and kind words. Some came out of curiosity, others out of true care. But every person who entered this house carried one thing, a reminder that we were not alone. Amina spent most of her time in silence at first. She would sit near the window, watching the sky as if she was waiting for it to turn blue again. Sometimes she'd trace patterns on the wooden table with her finger, lost in thought. I didn't push her to talk. Healing, I've learned, doesn't come when we demand it. It comes when the heart is ready. So I stayed close, quietly cooking, praying, humming old hymns, letting her know that my presence was steady, like a candle that never goes out. One morning after breakfast, I found her outside tending the small garden near the fence. It was the first time she had stepped out since that night. She was planting new seeds, maize, beans, and a few flowers. I walked over and stood beside her. She smiled faintly and said, "Ma, you once told me that God doesn't send people by mistake." "Yes," I said. She pressed her hand into the soil and whispered, "Then maybe He sent me here to learn how to live again." Her voice trembled on the last word again. I felt tears rise, but I swallowed them back and simply placed my hand on her shoulder. "Yes, my child," I said softly. "You're home now." The man who hurt her was taken far away. The police said he would face justice, and the community made sure of it. But justice alone cannot heal a wound that deep. That takes love. That takes time. Weeks turned into months. The rain stopped. The fields grew green again. Children's laughter returned to the streets. And slowly, gently, light returned to Amina's eyes. She started going to the market with me again. The first time she held my arm the whole way there. But by the third week, she walked beside me freely, even stopping to greet old friends. People smiled at her, and she smiled back, shy but real. I watched her and felt something warm grow inside my chest, a kind of pride I hadn't felt in years. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the hills, Amina came to me holding an envelope. It was from the local school. She had applied to finish her studies. "Ma," she said nervously, "I want to try again. I want to study nursing. I want to help women like me, those who have no one to run to." For a moment I couldn't speak. I just stared at her. This girl who had once arrived at my door trembling in the rain, now standing tall, eyes shining with purpose. I reached for her hand. "My daughter," I said softly, "that's the most beautiful thing you could ever do." She smiled through tears. And that night when she went to bed, I sat by the window, listening to the quiet hum of the night insects, and whispered a prayer of thanks, because I realized every seed we plant in love, no matter how small, will one day bloom into something beautiful. Life went on. The house that once echoed with silence now rang with laughter again. Children from the neighborhood came by after school, calling her Auntie Amina. She taught them songs, helped with their homework, and sometimes baked small cakes on Sundays. I watched her from the veranda, my heart full. It was as if the universe had rewound time, returning joy to where it had once been lost. Every now and then, I still thought about that night, the rain, the knock, the fear. But instead of pain, I felt gratitude, because if that night had never happened, I would never have known this new beginning, and maybe neither would she. One afternoon, we walked to the river together, the same one where she had been found years ago by strangers, the same river that had seen so much pain. The water was calm now, glistening under the sun. She stood at the edge, closed her eyes, and whispered something I couldn't hear. Then she took a small white flower from her pocket and let it float away with the current. When she turned back, she said, "That was from my old life. It's gone now." We walked home in silence, but it was a peaceful silence, the kind that doesn't need words. As the years passed, Amina finished her studies. She became a nurse in the nearby town, working at a small clinic that helped women and children. Every weekend she came home to visit, carrying fruits, stories, and laughter. People in the village began to call her the girl with the brave heart. And every time someone said that, she would glance at me and smile, because she said it was I who had given her courage. But between us, we both knew the truth. Courage had always been hers. I had only reminded her of it. Sometimes at night, when the wind rustles through the mango trees, and the moonlight spills across the veranda, I think back to that evening, to the first knock, to the choice I almost didn't make, how close I came to ignoring it, how close I came to missing the miracle that was waiting on the other side of the door. It makes me wonder, how many blessings pass us by, because they come dressed as trouble? Maybe that's what faith really means, opening the door, even when we're afraid of what might be waiting there. Now, in my old age, I often sit by the window and tell this story to young people in the village. They listen quietly, their eyes wide. Some cry, some smile, but every single one of them leaves with the same look, a look of hope. I tell them, sometimes life sends you storms not to destroy you, but to wash away what no longer serves you. Sometimes a stranger's knock is the sound of your second chance. And when I finish speaking, I look up at the sky, the same sky that once poured rain on us, and I whisper a silent thank you, because in the end, what saved me wasn't strength, or courage, or even luck. It was love. Simple, quiet, unwavering love. The kind that turns a lonely house into a home again. The kind that takes two broken hearts and teaches them to beat in harmony. And every time I hear a knock at my door now, no matter how late, no matter how unexpected, I open it, because once, a knock saved my life, and I will never forget that sound. It's been many years since that night now. Sometimes I forget how much time has passed, until I see the lines on my hands, the silver in my hair, the way the young ones call me Mama Naomi with love and respect. The seasons have changed many times since then. The mango trees I once planted with Daniel now stretch high above the roof, their shade falling across the veranda where I sit every morning with my tea. The world feels quieter again, but not with loneliness, with peace. Amina still visits often. She drives now, imagine that. A woman who once trembled at every sound of thunder, now confident behind the wheel of her small blue car. When I see her pull into the yard, my heart always feels a little lighter. She runs to me, hugs me tight, and says, "Ma, you're still as beautiful as the day I met you." And I laugh, because I know she's lying. But it's a sweet lie, the kind made of love. She calls me Ma, and I call her my daughter. Not because we share blood, but because we share something even deeper. A bond born in the middle of pain, forged by trust, and sealed by the grace of a single act of kindness. Every now and then, we sit under the mango tree and talk about life. She tells me about her work, the women she helps, the babies she delivers, the lives she touches. She says, "Ma, I see so many who just need someone to listen." And I tell her, that's what the world forgets most, listening. Gina. And we sit in silence for a while, watching the golden light spill across the yard. There is something holy about those quiet moments. Something that reminds me that even in the noise of life, peace can still be found in the simple act of being together. Sometimes late at night, when the world is asleep, I walk through this house slowly, room by room, remembering. I touch Daniel's old chair. I run my fingers across the photo frames, smiling faces frozen in time. And then I whisper, "Look, my love, the house is alive again." Because in some way, I know he's still here. In the laughter of the children who visit, in the prayers whispered at dawn, in the love that flows through these walls like wind. And when I think of that night, the rain, the fear, the trembling knock, I no longer shiver. I smile. Took me years to understand it, but I see it clearly now. That night wasn't a test of my strength. It was a gift of grace. A second chance. For me, for her, for both of us. There's a little girl in the village now, one of Amina's patient's daughters. She visits me every weekend. Her name is Hope. She loves to sit on the floor and listen to stories. She's always full of questions. "Did you really open the door that night, Grandma? Weren't you scared?" And I always tell her the same thing. "Yes, my child. I was scared. But courage doesn't mean we aren't afraid. It means we open the door anyway." She nods seriously, then giggles, and runs off to chase the chickens in the yard. And I sit there, smiling to myself, because I know that the lesson has been planted, and one day, it will bloom in her too. You know, as I grow older, I've learned that the greatest blessings in life don't always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes they come disguised as pain, loss, or a stranger knocking in the rain. We just have to be brave enough to listen for them, because every person who crosses our path has a reason. Every story that touches our heart has a purpose, and sometimes the life we save might not be someone else's. It might be our own. Now, when I wake up each morning, I open my door wide and let the fresh air in. The sound of birds fills the air, and the scent of flowers drifts from the garden. The world feels full again. Not perfect, but full. And when night falls, and the stars rise above the hills, I sit by the window with a cup of tea, and whisper the same prayer I've whispered for years. Thank you for the knock that saved my life. Because it did. In more ways than I can ever tell.